Welcome everybody to this week's show. This is the You Can't Comp This NBA Trading Card Podcast. I am your host, Russell Gibson. And this week we've got Zach from Mint
Hey guys.
Collectables. Zach, how you doing today?
Yeah, really well, man. How are you?
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm really looking forward to having a chat with you today because I definitely want to hear about your hobby story, but you've also told us that you've just come back from the top summit. So I
Yeah.
can't wait to hear your stories about that.
Yeah, no, it was very exciting. Yeah, first time getting to go over and being involved. Really insightful and exciting to learn everything going on in the industry.
And a tax deductible holiday at the same time,
Yeah,
right? Like
that's
it doesn't
always a
get much
bonus.
better
I
than
got to
that.
go to a few NBA games and MLB game while we are over there. Managed to go to a card show as well. So
Yes.
yeah, got to make the most out of it when traveling
Yeah,
to the other side of the
that's it.
world.
I mean, it's a tough life traveling around the world for work, isn't it,
Exactly.
right? Uh,
Yeah, for sure.
what was the best NBA game you went to?
So I went to who did I go? I went Lakers, Brooklyn. So that was pretty cool getting to see like Luca, LeBron, Austin Reeves live. That was great. The other game I went to was Suns the Dallas. So we got to see Cooper Flag. That game wasn't too eventful or exciting, but yeah, cool to see them in person. You know, the guys that you spend your whole life watching, and there they are in the flesh.
Yeah, 100%. And seeing their aura, that's the thing that really
Yeah, for
gets me
sure.
is when you see them walk into the room at the same time, and it's just amazing, isn't it?
It's like I think I get a deeper appreciation for how good they are at their sport, like in person.
Yeah,
I don't think TV gives a full
doesn't do it justice.
yeah, exactly. Like it's
Yeah.
so much quicker and their athleticism is insane.
Yeah. Who is the most amazing person just to physically see? Because, like, for me, LeBron, Wemby, and Russell Westbrook is my three. Like, just, oh my God, I
Oh,
can't believe these guys.
I've
Yeah.
never been like a huge Wemby guy, but I got to see him a few months ago and he's actually incredible. Like
Yeah.
couldn't believe how skilled that man was. This time seeing Luca live, that he is also very, very good.
Yeah. Let's go back to the start. Tell us about yourself, introduce yourself, and just tell us about your hobby journey and how you ended up being Mint Collectables because
Yeah,
I
for
love to
sure.
hear these
So
stories. Yeah.
so I'm Zach from Mint Collectables. We're based in Brisbane. I started Mint back in 2020. Originally was just online, ended up opening my first hobby shop in 2021. I hadn't collected for a long time prior. I got into the hobby about 2018. Ben Simmons was actually the reason I got into cards in the first place. I remember
Is that a
seeing
good
an
thing or a
article
bad
by
thing? I'm not too sure about
yeah,
that, man.
I was very patriotic about him when he was back when he was 19, 20, 21. We were the same age, so I was always excited by him. But yeah, I remember reading an article by I think Sports Illustrated, and they were talking about like $100,000 Ben Simmons rookie card, which now sounds unfathomable. But yeah, that really intrigued me. I'd always had appreciation for cards as a kid, but that really brought me back in and investigated further. So I remember opening some Prism that year, so Luca rookie year Prism, and yeah, I was just in the hobby from there on. In 2020, product started getting really hard to access, so
Yeah.
I remember bringing some in from overseas just to rip, and eventually found a way to sell extra boxes and realized that it was a pretty plausible business and launched Mint mid 2020. Yeah, here we are, still doing it today. Have a store in Brisbane. We've got 15. Yeah, we've definitely scaled since then.
I feel like you've skipped a massive chunk between bringing boxes in to being Mint
Yeah.
Collectibles today. Like, without going into too much of your sort of your IP, like what made you successful? What do you do that stands out from different hobby shops? Like,
Yeah,
why do
sure.
customers keep coming back to you?
I think early, it was definitely social media presence so important. You know, that's really how we got our name out there. And it still took time. At first, I wasn't exactly doing like huge money. And, you know, I was a one man operation for the first 2, 3 years.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
So yeah, it's just I think opening that physical store and being that community presence and somewhere to go in and somewhere to talk about cards and meet other collectors and
yeah.
I think that was a really important part of the ecosystem we were missing in Brisbane at the time. And yeah, as the years have gone on, we've just scaled and improved on those things and increased our offering. And
Looking at your
originally, I
Instagram, you've got
only did basketball cards, and now TCG is a big part of what we do. And
and you've got
uh,
events on every night too, man. I'm just looking at
yeah,
that on your
yeah.
Instagram
So
now.
we're doing a trade night every Friday night for Pokemon. We do a sports one occasionally here and there, but not as consistently. And yeah, we host TCG nights every day of the week these days. So
Yeah.
that's not something we did until 2024, I think. So 4 years without that, and yeah, now that's a big part of our business as well.
I really agree with that. And I think that's where it's at because I think, of course, people love collectibles, but I also think actually they quite enjoy the interaction of it. And then I'm assuming guys get in there and trade and they'd be buying up to fill out their decks and all the rest of it. Like
Yeah, exactly. I think
it's genius,
it's a
man.
big
Yeah.
part of being a hobby shop. You can't just be somewhere that sells boxes. Like it's so important to be that community space, and we're that place people to come and hang out. And
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's so important.
I got to ask you though, why isn't there an NBA trade night or sports
We
card
do
night?
we do them here and
Yeah.
there. We
Yeah.
don't. So for the Pokemon one, we get 80 people a week. The shop's always packed.
Yeah.
Pokemon's absolutely thriving at the moment. We do have a big sports audience, and like we'll get people along to the trade days, but we can't really run them weekly. We feel that they'd be a bit too fatigued, but we try run one every couple of months, and they do, yeah, really well as well.
Yeah. Interesting. Maybe that's more about where the hobby is at the moment, that Pokemon is just so
Oh, it's
dominating.
insane at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember we didn't do Pokemon for ages, and now we can't look back at a huge part of our business.
Boston Card Guy's I mean, he does a lot of clickbaity sort of stuff and a lot of the scam stuff. But the other thing that caught my attention from him recently was he believes that Pokemon's just in a huge bubble and it's about to burst. Like, what do you think about that in terms of,
There's some truth to that. Like, one difference I see now to the 2020 bubble that the NBA had, where we lost 90% of the value on lots and lots of cards. There is like a genuine collector base. There's a massive audience of collectors. Well, back in 2020 for basketball, I feel like it was a lot of like new money that was like investing in cards more than like actually collecting.
and
So
COVID too,
I
man? Like,
do think, yeah, I do think Pokemon has like a long-term audience, regardless if card prices do come down. So I
yeah,
don't think it'll be as severe, but there are definitely cards that need a big correction at the moment.
yeah, interesting. What's your favorite customer interaction or your favorite type of customer interaction?
This was a hard one because there's so many exciting things about owning a shop, but one I really appreciate when we have new people come in and it's their first experience in the hobby, and they've decided to dive in and try something new, and that first experience of opening a pack, being excited, like it's so good to see someone else appreciate and enjoy
Yeah,
that experience, and seeing them come back and really embrace the hobby. That's something that excites me every time.
yeah, yeah. And then what about on the flip side? What are those customers that you just
I guess
grind your
it's
gears?
yeah, there's lots of things that aren't my favorite thing, I guess. But lately we do get a lot of interest from people that are very money driven, which is it's
Yeah,
usually a bad starting point for when you're coming into the hobby. Like someone will come in and they're like, the first question is, what box is going to make me money, or what box can I buy, and I'm going to be able to flip it for a profit. And I think
yeah.
that's a pretty hard thing to come into the hobby and do, and that's a really hard conversation to have with people. It's been a bit of a frustration lately, just people coming in and not really appreciating the collecting side
So
of
how do
cards.
you explain that to them?
It's tough. Like we'll still point them to boxes we find might have a good value proposition.
Yeah,
But yeah, it is hard to explain that. Look, you might spend $500 on this box, and you're not necessarily going to get $500 back in that.
yeah.
That is often quite hard in the current ecosystem, especially for things like the NBA and their current pricing. So yeah, we generally try educate and show them what to expect, I guess.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty important so they
And
don't get too burnt.
we're gonna talk about more about this later today, the top summit, but that was something that was definitely discussed at the summit. You know, how do you let people make money, but at the same time not let sealed prices go to triple the recommended retail price? Because once it gets
Hmm.
to double, triple, getting value back on the boxes is virtually
Yeah,
impossible. Yeah.
exactly. There's definitely like a sustainable level and then like a healthy level. Like we all want to see a healthy hobby, and when box prices might be going up over that MSRP they're setting, that can show the product's doing really well and it's healthy. But when they're like tripling in price, the boxes aren't designed to be $1,500 for a hobby
Yeah.
box, and the
Yeah.
value proposition on that is not great.
Yeah. I think it's a real self-perpetuating problem because at that point, you wouldn't really want to rip it for yourself. And that's where it becomes a much better product to be broken. And then you got
Oh, for
30
sure.
guys jumping in, splitting out and doing that. And then I think as a consequence of that, then you sort of say, well, breakers are ruining the hobby and da 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 da. But it sometimes you could say it's as simple as that, but I don't believe it is as
Yeah,
simple as
I
that.
think
Like
it's
there's
definitely a more
yeah,
complex issue. Yeah, breakers definitely help hold prices up, but
yeah,
they're definitely not the sole reason the prices are
No,
where they are.
yeah.
At the end of the day, like, as if no one was paying the prices, they wouldn't be that high. Yeah.
The other thing to talk about too is that do you do a lot of buying and selling with customers over the table in terms of singles?
Yeah, for sure. So I'd say it's one of the fundamental, most important things about a card shop. I think that
Yeah.
card shops need to be a point of liquidity. It needs to be somewhere people can come and sell and trade and add things to their collection. So singles are a big part of our business. We're buying multiple collections a day.
Yeah, right.
I'd say singles are probably 50 to 60% of our sales. So it is a large part of
Yeah,
what we
wow.
do. Yeah.
And do you prefer to buy singles off people or just entire collections? What's your thoughts on that?
There's no right or wrong thing, I guess. Yeah, like we're happy to look at a one card collection or a 1,000 card collection. They've all
Yeah.
got merit, I guess. So
Yeah, yeah.
no preference really.
So something that's been on my mind lately when it comes to the hobby is the increased number of fakes that are being circulated around. And I spend a reasonable amount of time in the hobby and be looking at cards, I would say, on a daily basis. But at the same
Mm.
time, if I had fakes in my own collection, I wouldn't be shocked.
It's hard.
So
There's definitely more on the market now than there were 10 years ago. That's
yeah.
for
And I think with markets like Temu that are selling, replica cards that are so good you wouldn't be able to differentiate them. As someone who's buying and selling cards on a daily basis, like what's your advice to people? What's your tips to people to, be aware of what you can do to protect yourself? Because
Yeah, for sure.
like
Like if you're ever questioning if a card is maybe looking a little off, it is always worth checking. Cross reference with other photos, make sure everything is looking the same. Because we've even been called out sometimes. Pokemon's a pretty easy one. The fakes are usually pretty low quality, and they're the thing we see the most fakes of. Sports card fakes, although they exist, they are pretty rare to come into.
yeah, right, okay.
We very rarely see fakes come in. We recently had a guy just the other night come in with a large collection of high-end fake sports cards. We don't know where he came into them, but they were very obvious, and they often are. But I have seen some pretty good ones too. Last year at a card show, we actually spent quite a lot of money on what ended up being a fake downtown.
Is that the
Um,
Wemby one?
it wasn't Wemby. We had a Chet Holmgren, I think. There was a Wemby one that I think someone bought at the same show from the same person.
'Cause I
And
think
and at a quick glance, they're pretty believable. It's hard to notice. We didn't really pick up on it until later on when I had a closer look. And I'm like, oh, this looks a little different.
yeah.
So yeah, it can be easy to get caught out sometimes. So especially when making big purchases, it is important to do your research and make sure things do look legitimate.
So what resources do you tap into when you're looking at trying to find
It's
fakes? Like
even when
yeah,
you're, sitting and comping cards and going on eBay or wherever you comp cards and you're looking at the price, it doesn't hurt to look at the photo as well and make sure things look the exact same. High quality images on the internet are a really good resource, and I don't think there's much better out there to my knowledge. I don't think there's a platform that'll give you too much insight on fakes, but
yeah.
yeah.
I like to use Card Ladder. I think that's a
Mm.
really good resource. And also too, like they're really building up a good database of pictures. Like there's more and more like coming to Card Ladder. I find that I'm just using that more. But the other thing too is the PSA registry. For me, that's the two. I personally think the PSA registry needs to do a better job of being a resource for people because who else has seen as many cards as PSA has? And they're obviously the leader in the hobby for better or worse. Like that's the reality of the situation now. And I really
Yeah,
think they should
well,
be using that power for good, basically. Yeah.
yeah, PSA, some of those big grading companies probably are an important resource for that. And we're seeing a lot of AI innovation in the industry. And I wouldn't be surprised if things like AI in the next few years will be able to help us spot fakes.
Yeah,
Um,
right.
and the image recognition from things like that. Or already when you're going to grade your cards at PSA through their app, you're taking a photo of the card and it's able to register what the card is. So it
Yeah.
doesn't sound too unfathomable that we could see them help you spot cards that aren't legitimate. So yeah, hopefully we see those kind of innovations in the next few years because it is a unfortunate part of the hobby we'd love to stamp out.
Yeah. I think anytime that the amount of money is involved that we deal with on a daily basis, it's going to be there. I personally think AI is absolute dog SHIP. Like, I talk to ChatGPT, and some of the stuff it says back to me is ridiculous. Like,
Oh,
how on
it's
earth
it's
is
definitely
this
not
thing
there
going to be
yet.
in charge of the world one day? I
Yeah.
really have trouble to believe this, but I'm actually excited when you say to me, "Oh, AI could help us in identifying fakes." Like, that to me would be, like, such a fantastic outcome if, like, that is true, but
Well, even a part of our business in the last few months, some of these apps that we use an app called Card Dealer Pro for listing a lot of our cards,
yeah, okay.
and
Yep.
it's quite good at identifying cards and helps speed up the pricing and listing process for a lot of our singles. And
We're gonna take our first commercial break, and we'll be right back. Neon Trading Cards. Head to neontradingcards.com where you'll find a huge array of breaks: soccer, NBA, MLB, F1, AFL, NRL, WWE, and Marvel. Find Neon Trading Cards on Whatnot. Neon is the exclusive home of Lucky Cardco Repack products, Australia's leading multi-sport repack company. Neon is also a Tops and Fanatics direct breaking partner. And this week on Whatnot's breaking platform, Neon have just launched their official second channel, Neon Trading Cards Plus. On the Plus channel, soccer, MLB, F1, AFL, NRL, WWE, UFC, and Marvel will be featured. Meanwhile, the main Neon Whatnot channel will run NBA breaks and Lucky Cardco repacks. NFL license is back with Tops and Chrome. This is the latest release and the hottest product on the market, and Neon will be breaking tons of it. Get in, get ripping, and don't miss out. Neon is where the action is. And we're back, and we're going to continue talking about AI in the hobby.
I remember trying to use an app like that 3 or 4 years ago, and it was terrible. It was
Yeah,
able to identify maybe 1 in 50 cards correctly, and now it's hitting like 95% plus
yeah,
on a
right,
lot of
okay.
sports cards, which is fantastic. So
Yep,
just seeing improvement like that, I am optimistic that we'll see more of that in the industry, and that's gonna help everyone long term. But
yeah.
yeah, definitely a long way to go before it's perfect.
Yeah, increasing accuracy of listings, I think that'll be fantastic, and just decreasing your overall sort of burden of, working in the hobby. I think that would be amazing.
Well, even for
Any,
the collect, like we're a business, so we're maybe in a bit different position. But even for the general collector, that they might have 100 cards, and it's a lot of work to list those on eBay. So
yeah,
uh,
definitely.
some of these middleman apps, they can help speed that up from a all day process to maybe an hour. Like
Yeah,
that's definitely going to help people, liquidize those cards that they might not need in their collection, and
yep.
that keeps them in the hobby more. So that's yeah, I'm always excited to see those innovations.
Anything else you want to chat about with your hobby shop before we move on to Tops Summit?
No, yeah, I'm happy to jump in.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the conference.
All right, man. So you've just come back from the conference. I think let's just start super high up at the moment. What was your three biggest takeaways?
So I think the three things I took away, tops do care about the collector. That's
Yep.
one thing. Uh, you obviously see a lot of hate online, and people are so negative, but the tops do care. They do listen to us, and I definitely got that by sitting there and actually meeting these people that are making these decisions for the whole hobby at the end of the day.
Yep.
Uh, some of the other things I thought was really important and a big emphasis they made at the conference was educating in the hobby and like the importance of uh, stores to educate new collectors and teach them about the hobby to keep the hobby healthy and thriving. So that was a big point. The third one I'd say really came down to wax pricing. I think wax is pretty. It's a touchy topic at the moment for some people. There are some pretty expensive boxes out there.
Yep.
So that just seeing their perspective on that ecosystem was quite interesting and what they deemed was healthy and unhealthy. And yeah, I think it was very insightful being there and learning from the top.
All right. Let's go straight back to Tops Do Care because I think this is a really, for me, I want to talk about this because
Yep.
I've been pretty vocal about I'm Team Panini until Team Tops turn me over. Like that's until I see it. And there's definitely good signs already. So
Hmm.
I want to hear from you about, why should we be giving Tops our money? Why should we
Yeah,
be
fair
loving
enough.
Tops?
It's
Yeah.
no, it's a very valid question. And
Yeah.
one thing I didn't love about Panini over their years is when they did make mistakes, getting anything out of them was always impossible. Like they
Yeah.
were usually silent on any product issues.
Or if you
One thing
did get
Tops
something
have
back
been
from them, it was a pretty crap reward. Like, I think that
yeah,
was my experience with it. Yeah.
the 100 Panini points didn't do us any favors.
Yeah.
But yeah, Tops generally do respond to a lot of their issues, and I think that's a really good sign. But yeah, like just hearing them in person and like the some of the people we got to talk to, such as like product developers and the people making decisions on checklists and what products to put out, and they really do listen to feedback when people are sending them emails about how hated this about a product or really like this and this is why this price point was bad. Like they're pretty receptive to those things,
Yeah.
and a lot of the guys making these decisions are big collectors. Um, so I'm pretty optimistic that they do care about getting collectors the putting out the best products they possibly can and making it accessible, and they're very understanding of the pain points of things like a product being too expensive or not being able to be accessed, and they do want to put out more accessible products, and we heard that a lot. And they were pretty understanding that yeah, look, Topps Chrome basketball's what 1,500 Australian a box at the moment, and that's quite a lot. Like that's
I think
not
even more
something
for
that
the
normal. Yeah,
like 2,000 at some retailers. Yeah.
yeah, exactly, and that's pretty hard for the average collector to palate, and
Yeah.
uh, they hear those things and they don't want that to be the situation. Like,
Yeah.
but at the end of the day, they're also very understanding. Is the prices have got to that point because the market has deemed that
Yeah.
that product is worth that, and
Yeah.
um, yeah, so they are working on ways to get product in our hands, which
Did they talk about
we
any ways they're
yeah.
actually gonna do that? Like, did they give
Yeah,
any
definitely.
examples?
So,
Because yeah.
they mentioned something I can't remember their name for it. It was something like the retail vault or retail reserve, and they wanted to implement a thing with shops like us, and I think it's predominantly going to happen in the US, where there is a amount of retail they've held off that they will sell to shops, but the promise is that it will be you have to sell it at our MSRP. You can't increase it for 60 days or something like that. And I think they plan on expanding that into things like a flagship hobby box, etc. It's
Yeah.
not exactly designed for those high end sets like Dynasty or Motif or even Chrome. I don't think it'd be a plan for that. It's more for that entry level. They do want collectors to be able to access that at affordable prices. There's no need
Yeah.
for an entry level product to be tripling in price, and
Yeah.
they agree.
I would love to see a product that they just print unlimited. That would be my preference. And
Yeah, like it's I'd love to see I'm sure the data would be out there to see the print runs and what that looked like compared to the 90s. Like obviously no one wants us to go back to the 90s and having too much product, but yeah, having things like flagship be plentiful and accessible is just yeah,
yeah,
advantageous for all.
I think not everything in that product has to be um, unnumbered and printed out. Like you could still have
Yeah.
one of ones in it. You could still have your numbered cards, and I still think you could limit hobby down. But for example, if they kept printing blasters out to demand, I don't really see the true detriment to that because particularly when they're talking about it. And actually, I think at the end of the day, there's no other way that you can keep the price down other than doing that. So I'm really like, it's interesting to hear that they've got some type of stockpile there. I probably still think some retailers will just hold on to that product for the 60 days and then release it at the
Mm.
higher price. So I think it will help, but it might not also
Yeah, exactly. I've always
solve the
been
problem.
worried
Yeah.
like what's stopping that that reseller or that breaker coming in
Yeah.
and buying those products to resell for what they deem the market is. It's
Yeah. 100%.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
hard things to navigate, but like it's good to hear that they're at least mindful of that and want to fix those problems.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's a step in the right direction, but maybe not the end solution.
Yeah. So I've just found this on Instagram from Ludic's app. They're talking about the Tops conference. We need shops and breakers to be actively enhancing the collector's
Mm.
experience. You've already spoken about a couple of things when it comes to educating people coming into your shop, and you've got your trade days that are going on. What else are you doing to maintain this dot point that Tops wants you to do?
Yeah, like and I think it's something they brought up a lot is like it doesn't matter how much product you can sell. That's not a measurement of how good a hobby shop is for them. It is those other experiences, like how many trade days are you putting on? Like, are you activating with athletes or putting on those kind of events, or maybe the rip night you see in the US.
Yeah,
What
right.
kind of events are you putting on to really enhance that bringing people together aspect to the hobby, which is in their eyes the vital part of shops in the ecosystem. It is that
Yeah, right.
community
Okay.
building that they can't replicate by selling a box online.
So you would
Um,
have to like put that onto socials then and like really document that then too, wouldn't you? Because you couldn't
Yeah,
like what
it's
else? Yeah,
we're in an
yeah,
interesting situation in Australia. I guess we're not currently involved in the same programs as the Americans. So
yeah,
where we do send reports back and tell them about the things we're doing, and they do
yeah. Okay.
measure what
Yeah, cool.
yeah they measure what we're doing and how we're engaging on social media, and even on social media educating about product. It's important to them. So
Yeah,
they do like seeing those things, and yeah, it's a big takeaway we took from the show, and something we're always looking to improve even further. But
yeah.
yeah,
And so if you were in an interview with Tops and they asked you about the joy of collecting and your hobby shop, what would you tell them?
yeah, I think it's important for us to let them know we are passionate. Our staff of 15, absolutely all of our staff come from collecting backgrounds.
Yeah,
A lot of them have been customers before, and for us for me it's important to have a team of passionate people, because we want to share a passion for collecting with the customers.
yeah,
So presenting in that way that we're getting excited when you hit cards, we're getting excited that you have that new piece for your PC, and
yeah.
we love embracing trade days and those kind of things. And that's something we're quite proud of, and yeah, we'll happily tell Tops when they ask us about it.
Yeah. I'm genuinely surprised how many trade days you've got. Like I think that's a real contribution to the hobby because I'm sure a lot of that is actual love and passion versus like straight business. Honestly, I think that's
Yeah, like
yeah,
the trade days when we first started doing them, like they financially they were quite good for us. People were spending
yeah,
quite a bit of money, but now they're like we don't really mind about that. It's we get excited to have 80 people in the store. That's
yeah,
what I'm excited about.
yeah, yeah, definitely.
I'm so thrilled to have a thriving hobby locally. Like
Yeah,
when I got back into cards in 2018, we didn't have a single shop in Brisbane at all that did basketball cards, and that it was something was missing. I guess that there was no community to come in and really get into cards with. Like none of my mates were really into it, so it was definitely an aspect I thought was missing in Brisbane. And now we have lots of shops in Brisbane and all over Australia, and the hobby is definitely thriving through shops.
yeah, I agree. I think the hobby in Australia is just. I think some people will say, well, parts of the hobby is not doing so well, but I just think overall it's just such a thriving,
Mm.
energetic space. And I think from my perspective, what I sort of see is when I go to card shows, we like just a couple of years ago, we didn't have the hobby hangout, we didn't have Collect Fest, we didn't have the national, and now we've got these massive events that just sell out, and there's so many people that you can barely get around. It's
Yeah, there feels like there's a card show every weekend these
yeah,
days, which is it's great.
yeah,
Yeah, definitely. Uh, we definitely see segments of the hobby that might be struggling versus others, but I think one great thing about collecting, like there's no right way to collect, and there's so many different facets of collecting. So
100%.
um, yeah, overall the market's definitely in an up. It is definitely thriving at the moment.
Yep. All right. So the next thing that we're looking at here is the credit card. I'm sure almost everybody has already seen this online and they've heard about it. So I don't think this is breaking news by any stretch of the imagination, but I really do want to talk to you about this. And we did talk about it offline. I think my personal feeling about this is that there is a little bit of a conflict of interest in terms of fanatics have got a credit card that potentially could be used for gambling. And so they do now have a gambling platform. So I think that's the part of it that doesn't sit perfectly for me. So that's my perspective. If it's just being used for trading cards and you've got a handle on your spending and you know how to use a budget and a spreadsheet, I actually don't see any real difference between the credit card that I've currently got, which is a Mastercard versus, a Topps card. So do you know what I mean? Like I'm trying to be
Yeah.
sort of I'm not trying to be OTT about this. I'm just trying to be pragmatic about it. It is time to take a break now, and we're going to go to our first commercial of this week's podcast. Thank you to US Sports Cards Australia for your ongoing love and support. Go to ussportscardsaustralia.com.au. There you'll find sealed products, brakes, card protection, Ross's beloved water pistols, and ComCA, or as Ross calls it, Comca. ComCA is a card consignment service that is local to Australia. Go onto the main website, click on the three little noodles, get your submission form, pay only 9 cents for your total submission. No matter how many cards you submit, just pay for the 9 cents right on your submission form. You can't comp this for this exclusive promo deal. Sales have been steady on the website, $600, $390, $240, $165. Money is flowing through the website. Ross is continuously developing on the back end, and the new website will be launching very imminently. Also, check out ComCA on Instagram, comca.tradingcards. Thank you to US Sports Cards Australia for your ongoing love and support. And we're back. We're going to keep talking about Topps and Fanatics' new credit card.
Credit cards in general, like if you're not great at managing your funds, they're pretty dangerous. And I'm sure this
What's the
credit
interest
card
rate?
has
Like 20% or 18%? Like
I think it's even higher. I'm worried. Someone was telling me it was 30%. So
that's ridiculous, honestly.
yeah,
Like,
exactly. So
Yeah.
super dangerous if you're not good at
Yeah.
paying your bill on time.
Correct. Yeah.
But like if you're a hardcore collector and you're already spending quite a lot of money at Topps or on Fanatics merch, etc.
Yeah.
This could be a good way for you getting 2% back to spend on that. In saying that, there's plenty of good credit cards in the US that give you 2% cash back that you can spend on anything. So is it really a groundbreaking thing for those kind of people? It might not be. And honestly, I don't know if the credit card takes off super well. That's my personal take on it. I
Interesting.
don't think it will be that well received.
Yeah, okay. Look, I also think too that my gut feeling with Fanatics coming in, like how many billions have they spent on licensing alone?
I'd love
You
to know
knew
the
that
number, yeah.
you knew they were going to come back and get their pockets filled up. Like they're not doing this to be a charity. So I think that's the other thing we need to keep in mind here is, yes, we live in a hobby economy and we all love to think of it as this, very warm and sort of fuzzy place that it's a hobby. But at the end of the day, like, for these guys, it's coming in and they're doing a business. And I think this is the business aspect of it, and where they're trying to catch a little bit of money at every step along the way, whether it's distribution. They've got their own breaking platform now. They don't have a distribution company, like they're doing it straight out to hobby shops. So that's something else that, wasn't done by Panini. Now they've got the credit card, which again, that wasn't done by Panini. It's like you can really see where they're capturing all different aspects of the market to get their percentage.
I think it was something they brought when they first got the licensing back in 2022, before they'd even bought Topps. One of the statements that came out from I couldn't tell you who made it, was, they want to control the grading. Like they want their own grading, they want their own marketplace, they want their own breaking platform, and they've executed most of those things already. They don't have a grading company as of yet, but they're coming through with what they've said. Like they want to be the central place of the industry, and they definitely are at the moment. And I'm sure for many people this isn't a too left field of a thing. I didn't expect they were making a credit card announcement at the conference, but yeah, here we are.
I didn't anticipate that at all. And so offline, you're talking about how it was received in the crowd. Can you chat to us a little bit about that?
Yeah, look, I definitely saw some sour faces amongst or amongst card shop owners. A lot of them thought it might be in bad taste, and they weren't seeing an upside to why them as a shop should promote this credit card. And they were talking about incentives to sign people up through their store. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see how many shops actually take up promoting the credit card, or if it's in their interest to do so. The good thing for us being in Australia, it's not something we have to worry about. It's not something we have to even consider if we offer it or not, because it will be an American thing. But it was insightful seeing how many people around received it poorly, and I don't think it was a home run for them. I'm not sure if they thought it would be, but yeah.
I think too, like if you're signing people up in your hobby shop and then they're not getting cash back in that hobby shop, I think that's a tough sell. So maybe that's something that they can change so that the cashback that you get, you could spend it in a hobby shop on Topps products. That would make perfect sense. And that would be a
It is.
win-win for both like Topps and also for the hobby shop. But if it's the other way around where they're just being signed up in the hobby shop and they can only use it on the Fanatics platform, like I don't know, that doesn't sound
Yeah.
like an awesome deal. Yeah.
It was feedback that was brought up in some of the sessions and Q&As. I
Yeah.
definitely heard of several people mention that uh, they would be so much more open to something like this if they were, if they were like the 5% kickback or 2% kickbacks coming to their store, and
Yeah.
or it's even credit off their bill at Tops. Like the stores would, I'm sure they'd be jumping at the idea, but as it stands, that's not how it works. So
Yeah.
then they weren't as thrilled by the idea.
Anything else you want to talk about with the summit?
Uh, yeah, look, there's a lot of exciting products coming. One thing we did get an international only session at the end of the conference, which was really good chance to sit down and just talk about the hobby and the industry outside of the US. We often, just get lumped in, and not everything applies to us. So it's good to kind of get that, give feedback, and kind of get their thoughts on their international expansion and how things are going for the rest of the world. So
Yeah.
one thing they said, they've doubled the amount of accounts direct with Tops
Yeah.
outside of the
Right.
US in the last 12 months, which it might have even been in the last 6 months. They're really pushing outside of America right now. And, there's quite a few partners in Australia at the moment, and they're really keen on our region particularly. So we're seeing a lot more support, a lot more shops being onboarded. So I think that's really positive to hear as an Australian
Yeah.
collector, and access to products going to only get easier for us. And it's exciting to hear. I think
Was there anything else they've got for the Aussies?
not not yet. Well, I'm sure there'll be more news in the near future, but
You weren't
nothing
really that
groundbreaking yet.
convincing. I feel like maybe this is like confidential at this time.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll hear lots in the next 12 to 24 months
Yeah.
about Australia particularly.
Let's talk about new products that are coming out. What really caught your eye on that, and what are you looking forward to? And it can be non-basketball too, by the way, man. Like I
Yeah,
don't
for
want to
sure.
cage you in here. Yeah,
Yeah, so basketball wise, Bowman, I think is going to be super interesting. One disappointing thing, unfortunately, because of licensing, Bowman is not leaving America. So we won't see any Bowman in Australia, which is very disappointing because it looks awesome. Some of those inserts are really cool. The anime one particularly is awesome. Uh, yeah, so unfortunately, we were missing out on that. But I was really curious to see how
how is that possible,
basketball
and why? Sorry to talk over you
yeah,
there, but
yeah, no,
that's
that's fine.
yeah, yeah.
So from my understanding, it's to do with the college teams. So with NIL, like they have individual deals with the colleges themselves, as opposed to the whole NCAA, and there'd just be
God,
a
that
few
is so
colleges that held
bad.
out. Yeah,
That
no,
is
it's
so
it's very
bad.
tough.
I
So
I
yeah,
didn't know that. Yeah, yeah,
no, we only found out at the conference, which was pretty last minute. So a bit devastating for us because we thought that'd be an amazing release, and it looks it. So any product coming into Oz is coming through secondary channels, and I don't imagine it's going to be very cheap, unfortunately. But
yeah. Right. So if you want
um,
to get into breaks, you need to go into US breakers.
most
That's
likely, or you'll be paying quite a lot locally, unfortunately. But yeah, look, the product looks cool. I think it was. We've never really had the prospecting aspect in basketball that they do have in baseball, where you're. I don't think we've ever really taken on the college cards as well as they have their prospects. So
so.
yeah, really curious a full set release like this for Bowman, if that changed collectors and how we collect basketball, because it has the potential to do so.
I did a product review video on this, and I've also interviewed two people in the last week, literally about this first Bowman concept, and because it is relatively new for basketball, but
Mm.
where I'm struggling to get my head around is that traditionally college stuff for NBA just isn't collected as
Yeah,
well. Like, let's just say it does 30 to 40% of a pro uniform autograph. And then the other thing too is we don't have the AAA, double A, single A where we have
exactly.
that sort
Yeah,
of prospecting league. So for me, it's a little bit hard to understand how that is going to translate across. So like, can you just convince me, like, why should I be collecting Bowman's Chrome? Because I'm really unconvinced at this point. Yeah,
Yeah, look, if anything, I think the US market's the one that's really going to dictate if that takes or not. It's not going to be
yeah,
us in Australia.
yeah,
Their college is obviously a bigger part of their culture than ours. But yeah, look, Bowman Thirsts are like a hobby grail for a lot of people. That
yeah,
is more iconic than a gold prism or a silver prism, and or a Topps Chrome Refractor. Like this is the card a lot of baseball guys collect. So it is already a hobby staple that might not have transitioned to basketball, but
yeah,
it probably has the potential to do it, even though they might be college cards. If you go look at the pricing for Wembenyama's first Bowman, it's still a pretty expensive card. So I still think there is some love for it, even though it might not be the hobby staple for basketball that it is in baseball just yet. But
yeah. I think you're right
um,
about that. I think it's just one of those things where if you're not in that collegiate ecosystem and where are you from? Because that's like the most common way that you talk to somebody in an American bar. Like that's just the icebreaker. Where are you from? What college did you go to? You know, like we don't have that the same way in Australia. So I think that's part of it.
yeah, like even for Bowman baseball in Australia, like we might not get as much love for it as they do in the US. So
Yeah,
prospecting in general isn't as exciting for us, I guess. Like we're very star driven with our collecting, and that's something I've seen over the last few years in business. So yeah, it's maybe it could be the same situation for basketball that it doesn't take here but does take in the US.
yeah, that
Yeah, it'll be
definitely makes
interesting to see
sense.
how that goes. But yeah, outside of Bowman, I think I'm excited to see some of these high end sets Tops will be doing. We already saw Tops 3, which was that was cool. There was some cool autos in that, but uh, things like Dynasty, which have traditionally been the highest end set they're putting out in things like F1 and baseball, or Diamond Icons, which is just incredible set. Seeing those come after the Panini Flawless and National Treasures era, and seeing how they
Yeah.
stack up on the last generation is it's exciting. I'm very keen to see how it goes.
So can you just
Personally, in my
explain
PC, I have
Dynasty
quite a lot
to
of
us?
Dynasty cards. So
Yeah, so
yeah.
yeah, just tell us more about Dynasty. Like, what is it? Is it the flawless equivalent? Is that where you're going with that?
Yeah, so I'd probably compare Diamond Icons as more of the flawless equivalent, just in their configuration style. But in saying that, Dynasty is just as high end. It's a one card box. The F1 box is running $4,000 plus. It's very expensive. It's not for the faint-hearted. But yeah, you'll get one patch autograph. The cards are always numbered 10 or less. Yeah, they're stunning cards. So seeing that in basketball, that's something I'm pretty excited to see.
And so was it like all game worn, all
Yeah,
on
all
card
game worn,
autographs, like
all on
no
card.
redemptions, la la
Yeah,
la, like actually how
yeah,
a
very
product should be if we dreamt up a product. Yeah,
exactly, very flawless esque in that sense. So yeah, no, it's a stunning product, and I think that'll be taken very well by the basketball guys.
yeah,
One of the other things they talked on quite a lot, and Gary Vee came on stage and was very high on, is the non-sport licenses at the moment. They're definitely doing a big push with their like Star Wars and Marvel and Disney licenses, and we're seeing quite a lot more interest in that, especially even through the shop. So they're doing some pretty cool stuff with that, and we're seeing more actors signed than ever. And I think
yeah,
it's a facet of the hobby that most people probably ignored, and now it's looking to be pretty prominent. So
yeah.
some of those sets are looking really cool.
Look, I think actors signing cards is cool. I think it's collectible, and I think there's a market for it. For me, it's just more how high is the ceiling on that market? I don't
Yeah, for
think it's
sure. It's
crazy high,
and
but
it's one of those individual things, I guess. Like I collect basketball cards myself, so
yeah,
I don't have uh, a Disney card in my PC, but there are a lot of Disney fans out there, and converting them to card collectors is something I think's a goal for Tops, and engaging more people that might not be sports fans to card collectors, and that's a big part of the population that are there to convert, and I think that's why they're so high on that part of the industry.
I think if they get the price point right, they'll be fine. I personally think
Mm.
the issue for most people entering into the hobby these days is trying to explain to them that you need to spend $100 to get a box of cards. Like it's for most
Well,
people outside of the
$100 would
hobby,
be fine. You know,
it's asinine, man. But if you try and
yeah,
just explain that to a regular person, like it's
mm,
a really tough sell. Like I think,
yeah, for sure. And
like,
then when we're like Disney Chrome last year, they were on the shelf for 600 USD, $900 Australian, and that's very hard to fathom. Like
that's a
and for
tough
us,
sell, man.
it
Yeah,
is, and it was
yeah,
for us. And fortunately, that's how the market had reacted the previous years, and that's how high it had been priced. And I'm very hopeful they do get some more affordable products for non-sport because
yeah.
that.
It's time for our final break of today. We're going to go to our Hobby Hangout advertisement and then we're going to be right back. The Hobby Hangout XL is coming to Melbourne, Royal Exhibition Building in Carlton, Sunday, 26th of April, 10:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Pre-release and first release, and now second release are all completely exhausted, and the final release of tickets is on sale now. Tickets are currently selling at $39.90. 400 plus tables, international and national vendors, sports cards, NBA, NFL, MLB, AFL, NRL, soccer, and more, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh!, One Piece, MTG, entertainment, live breaks, dedicated trading zones, free play areas, expert panel speakers and international guests. Yukon Comthis will be there hosting a panel and also walking around interviewing vendors and punters alike. It's going to be a very exciting day. It is now confirmed that Goldens are going to be in attendance there. You may know Goldens from the Netflix series. You may also know Goldens from their consignment services. So bring down your huge cards that you want to sell into the US market. Vendors in attendance will include TCG Trading, Cardboard Guardian, Carson TCG, Charisma Plays, Cherry, Chloe O'Connor, Clyde Tattoos, Collector Bros, Collector's Alley, Collector's Coliseum, Collector's Kingdom TCG. That's a very well-used phrase in the collector's world. Cooper's Cards and Collectibles, DM Sports Cards, DG Collectibles, Alley's Collectibles, Encasify, and more. Go to thehobbyhangout.com.au to get your tickets or through OzTick. You'll also find the link in this podcast description. Thanks, team at the Hobby Hangout. We're back and we're going to continue talking about lower priced hobby boxes for collectors.
That probably has been the hardest thing with converting people into card collectors is the price point is pretty tough on some of that stuff, especially when they're not paying players to sign and there's no game worn patches. Like some
100%.
some of them
Yeah.
do relics and sketch cards and that stuff's all cool, but I don't
Yeah.
think it's as the cost of manufacture probably isn't as high as some of the sports products. So hopefully we do see cheaper price points.
Redemption grade guarantee. That was something else that came out of the Tops convention.
Mm.
Talk to us
Yeah,
about that.
that was
I'm
quite
really excited about
quite
this. I think
yeah.
this is like almost a common sense way to keep your customers happy. Yeah.
Yeah, things like that are always good, I think. That and last year they did like the redemptions were extended to 10 years as traditionally they're only 2 or 3 years. And yeah, like things like that are great. If I missed out on a card in my product because I've got a redemption, at least it's good to hear that look it's going to have be in good condition. Like they're guaranteeing that, and
Yeah.
that's pretty cool. I think they're guaranteeing PSA or near mint, so PSA 8 or better on them. So yeah, that was a pretty cool news for a collector, I think.
Oh, it's not a PSA 10. They're guaranteeing 8 or above, are they?
8 or better, like which is still like at the. I think a lot of people don't appreciate how good condition 8s and 9s still are. So
That is
I'm
true. They're in
totally
good
content with that.
condition, but everyone wants a PSA 10, man, for the price. Like
Exactly, like a
let's
10.
keep it real,
The,
right? Yeah.
the stigma around 10s is crazy. I have so
Yeah.
many PSA 9s in my collection because if I can buy the same card for like a third of the price, I'm going to do it every
Yeah.
time.
You're a wise man. Alrighty. I feel like I'm just about through the run sheet. This has been absolutely fantastic. What did you want to chat about? Is there anything else that we've missed?
Uh yeah, I think we've covered a lot of the things about the
A lot.
conference, which
Yeah.
is pretty exciting.
Yeah.
We have tops now on there. What did you want to touch on that?
All right. So I think my take on Tops now is that they've absolutely killed it. And this is something that they've done infinitely better than what Panini has done. I just generally like the concept. So, really weak example, but an example that I really like. Wiggins goes off the other day and has a 45-point game. You can, in 3 days after the game, you can be buying a Tops Now card from that game, and maybe they've got like a patch autograph version of it too, where it's got the jersey from that game in it. Like, just really basic stuff like that might not even cost you that much money to buy into it, and then you've got a really good chance of getting a high-end card. Like,
Yeah, like it's
I
I think it's about telling the story of the moment on a card, which is it's pretty cool. Like when you think about it, like at the end of the day, the whole thing around collecting sports cards is you're like connecting with a player or a team, or
yeah.
um, and so another way to connect yourself with a moment of a card is that's pretty cool. I think so. And still having that chase to make it a bit exciting. It's just not a plain card, which is what Panini did with their instants. There was very rarely. I'm not even sure. Did they even have chases in their version? Um, but yeah,
They did
seeing
have,
yeah,
like, low numbered or numbered cards in them, and you could actually even just go onto the website and buy autographs. They did it a little bit different to Topps, where you could actually sort of buy a very particular card, whereas Topps more do it as a lottery system where
yeah,
as
which
many
I think is
people that
exciting.
purchase
Like
them as how many they print. Yeah.
yeah, like I think we all enjoy the chase, and that's part of the hobby. So having the chase even in something like that's it's cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
I do have an appreciation for Tops now. There's definitely a lot of collectors that come into the store that regularly are buying Tops now cards, and they really appreciate them. So I don't have any on my PC, but yeah, it's pretty cool.
So how are they buying them? Do you facilitate that through the website, or have
No,
you've
they're
bought
all
them off
buying.
customers?
Yeah, they're all buying direct. We don't have any like facilitation of Tops now cards at this point. Um, we might see a tops.com.au in the near future.
Yeah, right.
So being able to access those might be a little easier than
But not
current. So,
fanatics.com.au though.
correct, yeah. So yeah, like I think if you're just getting into the hobby, or even as a veteran, like Tops Now cards are definitely something to look at adding to your collection.
Yeah. What is your grail piece?
So I made a big collecting jump last year. So before last year, I was collecting Prism Golds, and I had a decent sized collection of Gold Prism basketball
Yeah.
cards. Uh,
As a long-term
we,
hold or as a quick flip?
no, just for collection. Like it
Yeah,
was
okay.
just cards and it wasn't necessarily even big players, just guys I appreciated. I had a lot of Australians in that, like Bogut and Baines, etc. So I decided to go away from that just because with the license being lost, I wasn't sure if how long term I could maintain doing that. So I ended up selling off a lot of those. That's one I would have loved, the Luca Gold.
Oh, man.
Um, but yeah, now I've got into
Well, it's dipped in
Dynasty.
price 500K if you wanna jump in
Oh,
at the moment. It's currently
yeah,
trading at
it's the time to buy.
340,000. Yeah, it's
Yeah, I've started buying Topps Dynasty cards, so I really appreciate that high end all on card patch auto set. So I've started picking up a few of those from other sports. So I've got like a Oscar Piastri F1 card, a few baseball guys. I've got a Shohei Ohtani, which is probably my most expensive card at the moment. Mike Trout, few of those guys, but predominantly being a basketball collector. When that set comes around for basketball, I expect to spend some money. So
yeah,
Luka Doncic is probably my favorite NBA player at the moment. He's not
okay.
currently signing for Tops, but I'm optimistic he does in the near future, and I can pick up a patch auto dynasty card of Luca.
I don't think Panini will let go of him. I think just out of spite, they will pay him like what Upper Deck did to Jordan, just not to
Yeah,
sign, you know? Yeah.
I'm very curious at like how long his contract is, because we didn't see him in the first few top sets, but
I
now
thought
he
he
does
was
at least have base
Panini for
cards.
life. I'm
Yeah,
pretty sure
so
he's got a lifelong contract with Panini, yeah.
it's possible. So I'll be optimistic, but yeah, if it never happens, it never happens. And there's other players I like that I'd love a card of from that set as well.
Actually, it just says here multi-year exclusive deal. It doesn't say for
Mm.
life, so maybe he will be a free agent
I
soon.
think it'd be disappointing for everyone if he doesn't sign another license card. It's always hard to have those like big name like LeBron not signing all those years for Panini was like a detriment to the hobby. So
Absolutely.
Luca might not be LeBron tier exactly, but he's up there, and yeah, it's only a good thing the more players we get signing.
He's not LeBron tier, but he's in that same hobby tier. Like NBA
Yeah,
talent wise, yes,
definitely.
he's not in the same tier, but hobby wise, people love him. People want
Yeah,
that stuff. Like
yeah,
it's a real shame. Yeah.
yeah, he's definitely top 5 at the moment. So Jokic is another one that I'd love a. I actually bought some of the Tyson Beck patch autos that he did a few months back. So
Congratulations,
yeah,
well done.
yeah, no, they're very cool. So ideally, I'll get a Dynasty Joker auto as well.
I think I'm gonna have to look into this dynasty stuff a little bit more. You've definitely got me interested in it.
Yeah, it's there's a lot of sets that we've seen traditionally in baseball and soccer and things that are yet to come for basketball. So there's some cool stuff we're going to see. A lot of things to be excited about set wise. It's definitely the last 12 months. It's been a big shift for a lot of collectors on what they expect and what sets they're traditionally buying. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's a cool time. It's an exciting time. I think it's like a getting to experience things for the first time, even though some of these IPs might have been around for years with tops.
Yeah. I the other thing I was just thinking about there when you were talking about this is like NBA Eminent. So it's such a weird product for me because it costs like 50 grand Aussie
Mm.
to open a box of that, but then you can go online and get a single for $1,000. Like
Yeah,
it's one of those things where the maths just doesn't equate. So where does that fit into Tops's plan? Because like, do they have a super high end product?
they do. They don't put it out for all their sport IPs, but they've done one every couple of years. Similar to Eminence wasn't an every year thing. They have one called Transcendence for
Okay.
with tops.
Yeah.
So Transcendence baseball this year was I think 25 grand US. Um, Part of the box was you got like a ticket to like a VIP party at the National, which they only make 200 boxes, so it's a pretty like exclusive event, which I've heard is quite cool. So
Yeah, right.
just one of the extra gimmicks for the box, but yeah, everything in that was on card, low numbered. It's yeah, if you ever get a chance, look those up. There's some stunning cards. So very, very similar to Eminence. So there's most things Panini did. Tops have, an equivalent, and we won't really miss too much from Panini. Besides, we're going to miss those color blasts in the downtowns, but every product's got something that'll take its place at the end of the day. I think.
Yeah. Hey man, thank you so much for your time today. It's been absolutely amazing. What's your final thoughts before we say goodbye?
Yeah, look, the hobby's thriving, and excited to be here, and excited to see what the future has in store.
Yeah. Look, thank you so much for coming on today. It was just absolutely amazing to hear all your stories and just get your insights of what it's like to run a hobby shop and all the fantastic things you're doing, man. Like it's crazy. Keep up the fantastic work. And I would love to have you back on to talk shop again one day because I've really enjoyed this. So thank you so much.
Definitely, no, I appreciate it, Russell. If you're in Brisbane, guys, feel free to pop in store, say hi, have a chat. Always happy to have a yarn about the hobby.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Actually, now we've got you here. Tell us the address of your shop. Tell us your
Yeah, sure.
social handles so people can find you. Yeah,
Yeah, so you can find us on Facebook at Mint Collectables, Instagram Mint Collectables. Our shop is in Kedron in Brisbane, so we're at 8/359 Gympie Road. You can find us on Google. We're pretty easy to find, main road into Brisbane. So,
great.
yeah, pop on through.
Thanks so much, guys, and we'll catch you all next week.